Greetings, Poe fans. We are back with Poe Discussions. Jeanie, how's it going back in Tennessee today?
It is colder than, well, I won't go there. But anyway, it's better than being hotter than hell. So I guess, who knows? It's either
That's
one or
true.
the other. I'm at
Yes.
the other end. I
And she
think we
does.
moved to Antarctica.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I will be home hopefully tomorrow. And she doesn't want me to talk about where I'm at because it's
Yeah.
average of like 73 degrees right now. So,
Yeah. Renee's on my length right now. We both don't want to listen to you wham.
yeah, I know. I won't bring it up. I won't bring it up. So, speaking of that, we have a very special guest this evening, and her name is Renee Cronley. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
You're welcome. And so, if you'll just go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I feel like I'm in the Arctic tundra right now. It's minus 30 degrees. It's so
Ooh.
cold. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, it's pretty bad here. But yeah, and I'm talking from out in the cemetery, so it's very, very peaceful. Cold. I'm in the car, but yeah,
Yes.
I figured it was very, very fitting. But anyways, yeah, so my name is Renee Cronley. I've been writing really since I was a child. So I was a nurse and I stayed at home with my children. I left nursing in 2019, and that's really when I started hunkering down with my writing.
Okay.
And to the best of my ability, I mean, I young children, so my focus was sort of, very surface level
Mm-hmm.
at best. But I've managed to produce enough poetry and short stories, and what I'm doing now is just exploring more of that, especially since my youngest is now just hit kindergarten. So
Oh, yay.
Oh,
Okay. That's great.
that's sweet.
Well, so
Yeah, they're
tell us.
cute that age. Sorry.
Oh, no, what'd you say, Jeannie?
I said they're cute at that age,
Yes,
and
they
then
are.
then
right.
they go to middle schoolers. So hey, wait.
Yes, yes. So tell us a little bit about like the style of poetry and short stories you like to write.
Ooh, well, I'm kind of all over the place,
Okay.
but I like to write, in a myriad of genres. But I would say that originally it has always been, more of the spooky, macabre themes. I would say that,
Hmm.
I cut my teeth on that genre. I was pretty young when, I was into anything, the mysterious, the unknown, any sort of darker
Hmm.
themes. Probably because uh, are you guys familiar? I'm sure you are with Robert Stack's Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
Remember that?
absolutely.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
When I would
He
be
was
going to
the
bed,
man. Okay.
right, right. When I would be going to bed at night, I would hear that theme song, that spooky
Mm-hmm.
piano sort of theme
Uh-huh.
song. That would draw me out of my bedroom, and I would sneak and I would kind of watch it from around the corner. And I was always, always into stuff like that. So I find that I just naturally gravitate to it when I'm writing a poetry or a short story.
Okay.
Even even if I am writing in a different genre, I find that in terms of imagery and metaphors, like I'll naturally sort of gravitate to those darker themes, even if what I'm talking about is not quite that dark. It's
Okay.
just what I
Yes.
lean to.
Hmm. That's
Imagine. I mean, and that was great because when you bring up unsolved mysteries, it had that hook. And that's always what you want when you're writing is you want to have a hook and having that horror, that unsolved mystery, that's always a hook. And the guy's voice, let me just say, Robert Stack still has a voice
oh
that when
yes.
you hear it, you're automatically going, whoa, I gotta listen now. And I'm like,
Nobody
you go ahead.
right. Nobody has, they've tried to remake that multiple
Oh
the
yeah.
unsolved mysteries. Nobody
Hmm.
has been able to do it. Um,
No.
it
Ah,
so they ended up just doing it with the theme and nobody talking, just because nobody's ever been able to replicate it like Robert Stack. He just has
Yeah.
that vibe to him, it's just so mysterious. It just kind of invites that sort of wandering of the mind, that that intrigue is just perfect for it. Nobody else could do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, I watch Cold Case Files, like reruns of that, and Bill Curtis's voice is the same way. And some of the more modern episodes have someone else narrating, and it's not the same. But what's funny is that I was watching that the other day, and there was an advertisement for Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack, and I was like, "Oh, I should go back and watch that," because I used to watch it when I was younger. So,
Yeah, I love to watch it too. And that one thing that I love to do is I would watch it all the way through. And then at the very end, when they always advertise for Crime Stoppers and the number, that
mhm,
if you have any information, please call. And they would put that, I would always write those numbers down. I would always write those phone numbers down
mhm.
just because I was like, oh, if I can help, I want to help, because it was just so engrossing to
Yeah,
know something like that. And stories, that's how they need to be. You
yeah.
need to be so into the story that you want more. And that goes back to Renee. One of the things that I think we first met you was when you were, weren't you was part of our kickoff on the love
Yes.
letters to Poe. That's right.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
was. Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
that's
can you
right.
tell us a little bit about that and how you got into that? So, uh,
Oh,
for our Poe
yes.
people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have been in all of the love letters to Poe anthologies.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
cool.
would have seen,
Yes.
yeah, I love Sarah. That's how I got to know Sarah, the editor of
Mhm.
Love Letters to Poe. She put out a call, and ironically, so the very first one, I think it would have started off as a magazine, and then they turned
Mm-hmm.
into anthologies later. But um, I saw a call for it, and I was 2 days postpartum, and I think
Wow.
wrote it in a half delirious state,
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
oh wow.
and extreme sleep deprivation. So it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of fitting,
Mhm.
story bleeding into reality, and yeah, it just somehow it all came together, and I sent it to Sarah, and she absolutely loved it. And that is really how it started. And then then she had put out the call for the second one, and
Mhm.
for that one was themed Houses of Usher. And that when it was really cool, because one with the themes, I got to reread Poe, what those stories, and then just sort of run with them, let my imagination sort of play with the themes based on whatever he had, and just use that as a standing out point, and then just sort of jump around. So that
Mhm.
was a lot of fun. That one, I did a little bit more of a, maybe a little bit more of a modern take. I didn't use that older language. And then the last one I was into Tales Torn from the Heart, which was
Mhm.
based
Yes.
off the Telltale Heart. And that was a lot of fun writing that. Um, I was really influenced by the Netflix series, because that came out at the same around the same time as that call.
Mhm.
And I loved the series.
It was great.
It
Mm-hmm.
really was. I kind of did something similar in the sense that I used all different names from all different stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah. Do you
Nice.
have a favorite of the three love letters to Poe that you were in?
That's difficult. I was gonna say the first one for nostalgia
Mhm.
purposes,
Yeah.
but as far as the story, I think the last one,
Okay.
the
Oh.
last one I really enjoyed,
Okay.
which was I can't. There's no. Ooh, home is where the heart is. I think that's what I called it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because it's sort of based off of, I got to, yes, it's still Tales Torn from the Heart, which is, was the primary theme, but my favorite piece by Poe is Annabelle Lee. So I really got to use that within the story. The story was sort of grounded on Edgar. Well, the main guy's name is Edgar. Is
Hmm.
he built this home for his lovely Annabelle Lee, and it was a kingdom by the sea, and it's on this
Yeah.
cliff surrounding the sea. But the main character is actually somebody who suffers from extreme social anxiety that would bring her on the brink of madness, and she has this sizable inheritance, and a man basically sort of almost like cons her into marrying him. And
Okay.
there's this, yeah, generational curse, and it was a lot of fun to write.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I have read it. I don't remember all the details just because it was actually when the book came out, and so it's been a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a day or two. So,
Yes.
Yes, it
but
has
it's
been.
good when you can, yeah, it's good when you can tie things like that and make them modern,
Hmm.
but still have a Poe influence.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things with, I think, the Love Letters Poe anthologies did was it had the mix of not just stories like short stories, but poetry and
Hmm.
everything that were dedicated to Poe, but with, you know, a love of Poe twist
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, because I've read all three, and I was mesmerized. We'll use a Poe word.
Yeah.
exactly.
Just with all three of them, because I just loved the creativity that each of you guys as writers put into each anthology. And just like Jeannie just said, the modern, the kind of more traditional of post time and things. And I loved just all the elements that you put into them that kept Poe alive, but also paid honor, especially if you did modernize the story. And so it just
Mhm.
they were awesome. They're still awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what actual publications do you have? I know if I remember correctly, you're working on a poetry public book right now.
Yeah, I am on multiple ones. So,
Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
awesome. That's
Well then
awesome.
tell us more. Tell
Yeah,
us more.
well,
I want to hear.
um, actually, one that I've been working on for quite a bit is actually more to do with um, the nursing burnout.
Oh,
That's what it
That's
was. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
that is what I've been working on, but it's quite a difficult one to sort of get through.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So even just organizing it in terms of themes, and because there's different messages that I'm trying to express in a
Hmm.
way that other people would be able to understand, it is very difficult to do. So you know, getting it out in a way that organizes the themes and um, tries to explore various elements that could be like nurse to patient ratios, and even already you hear the way I'm talking, it doesn't that doesn't transfer poetically very well. So it's very hard. I can see why these shortages between doctors, nurses, any healthcare workers is it's really hard for the layperson to understand, because it's really hard to communicate it in general, because it's a lived experience, and I'm trying to put
Yeah.
it over, yeah, in a different way. And then I'll see a call for a horror story or horror poem, and I can just turn that out like nothing.
Yeah.
Like it just something, it's like I'll see a call for a ghost story or something, and I could just relax right into that, and I'm in my
Mm-hmm.
wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
um yeah, so it's right now I think I've got a little bit of a handle on it, but it's like sometimes I have to break away from it. I just because I'll have to research it a little bit. Like I'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of arranging some of it into codes. And right now I'm looking at, doing a code black, which is bomb threat, and looking at what you would do in a bomb threat. And, we actually had an instance around here where the bomb threat wasn't communicated. and they only found out about it once it cleared. I heard about this, of course, on the news. I wasn't nursing at the time, but these are
Okay.
all the things that foster mistrust within the system when
Mhm.
you're working in the system, and then how scary it is because you need to have trust within that system. Right. So
Yeah.
It's been a go of trying to organize the poetry that I have in a way that I could put it into a book that flows cohesively, but also in a way that's not entirely draining, negative.
Yeah.
But you almost have to have that light, fluffy side, or not light, fluffy side, but
A
just
balance. Yeah.
a balance,
Yeah.
which just so it's digestible and it's not exhausting to read.
Yeah.
So
That's
Yeah.
understandable. I would think it would be therapeutic as well,
mhm,
just writing out things that you've experienced and just and again, I think I forget exactly how you worded it, but just if you have not lived this, it's it's more of a sympathetic view from the reader unless you have been in your world to be more empathic with it.
mhm. Right, right.
And I think that's a struggle for a lot of people in public service,
Hmm.
that especially when you're using an art form like writing to
Yeah.
impart a part of yourself. And that's pretty much, I think, why you're struggling, is that you're putting a part of who you are on paper.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes,
difficult to open that much. I mean, that's just like cutting your heart open and bleeding on the paper.
Yeah.
So, and
exactly. Yeah.
and I know from my own personal experience, and Carmen being a teacher too, from
Mhm.
our sides, there's a lot of things that I've struggled with putting on paper in some of my writing. I still have not got enough courage to put some things together and put them on paper for other people to read,
Yeah.
because it is just too personal still.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can completely understand that. I think when I had stepped aside after I had my last child, it was right away I had decided that this was something that I was going to do. Um,
Hmm.
Mhm.
this poetry book, but it was still too fresh. It needed some distance. Every
Yeah.
time, I would start to think around what was happening, and then reading things on the news and then comments on them and back and
Mhm.
forth. It was just too I it was just too much, maybe too much about emotions, too much, hurdles I couldn't get through.
Hmm.
And I think, which is it is like with a certain type of trauma, which
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
every single healthcare worker has. But even just if you were to take healthcare worker out of that, even just as a writer who writes dark themes like the mysterious and the unknown, so
Hmm.
those are naturally darker themes.
Yeah.
Um, and I think most of us who are drawn to that type of stuff have been through certain experiences in our lives
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
throughout, and usually even fairly young, right?
Hmm.
But
Yes.
you get to explore that in a safe way. So with
Yeah.
ghosts and the macabre, we expect it, or the public almost expects it to not really be real. But there's that quote, fiction are the lies through which we tell the truth.
Yeah.
And we're
Mhm.
able to sort of, take those external ghosts that are on the page, but they're really internal ghosts, and we're sort of exercising them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we get to play with them differently in a way that sort of creates magic for everybody else to read,
Yeah.
and they relate to them a certain way. Whereas when which I find natural, that's something I'll naturally do, and so it's much easier for me to do that. Whereas something like this, it's much harder to do because I find I can't use that the same way, and
Yeah.
so um it's just more difficult getting through it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things is also it's kind of like an onion, peeling
yeah,
back those layers, and
Hmm.
especially how long you were in the industry and in that job. Like, just the thought of peeling back every year, and in some
Mhm.
instances every 6 months or so, because things happen, especially in the healthcare system. It is constant of a 24-hour. That's one of the things about some of the new show, The Pit. I'm not
Oh,
going to use it as a
so good.
yes,
I
but
haven't watched
that's
it
one of
yet.
the things. It's just that to see it and to feel the reality of it, and to know that you have to turn part of yourself off
Yeah.
in order
Mhm.
to live through what you have to do.
Mhm.
And so what you're doing with your poetry now is those pieces that you locked away and compartmentalized in order to survive through certain traumas, you're having to open them up
Yeah.
and put them on
Absolutely.
paper.
Hmm.
And that
Relive things you might wanted to not go back to, possibly.
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Absolutely.
and what's going to make it even more powerful is when you can connect to it and put it in that poem and put it on that paper and connect it to another person, a reader, and they can feel that and experience not what you did, because it won't be completely empathetic, because only someone who had gone through exactly what you did can feel that empathy, but they can sympathize and realize from a whole different perspective. And that's all about what we read. That's all about what we love to write, is to get our readers. And sometimes if it is fiction, and sometimes if it's nonfiction, and that just makes it that much more powerful. Just, like Poe. Take for Poe instance.
Mhm.
He was so great at the macabre, and but he put a little bit of himself in what he did.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I look forward to when you do get it finished. I'm going to put
Yeah.
that out there.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, but you
I'll
can't
let you
rush
know when
it.
right. No,
Okay,
you
yeah,
can't.
no.
No. But what I something else I sort of discovered too, when you're on, just even one shift, so much happens within one shift. Kind of like what you're when you
Hmm.
watch The Pit. It's very much like that. There's just so much that you don't really have time to catch up. Even when
Yeah.
you're done work, it just sort of and then the next life takes over.
Yeah.
Hmm.
When you get home. So there's so many different on process things. And when you go back, so as writers yourselves, when you start to write something, even if it's a poem, you go into character, so you go by channeling that mindset again, you go back into survival mode. And
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
survival mode, because that's what's happening when you're in the middle of these chaotic things. When you're in survival mode, it's hard to explore anything beneath the surface.
Yeah.
Everything is very surface level. So I find it very hard to sort of dig deep and go around it and try to explore different areas to communicate how maybe one element of burnout happens, and put it together like a puzzle without pulling in too many other things
Hmm.
Hmm.
and having it not fit together like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty difficult to do. I think the other hurdle that I had to get over, which I'm pretty much over now, is the fear. There's a lot of fear associated with anything that would even be remotely close to speaking out. Even though this isn't speaking out, I'll even have a disclaimer at the very beginning of the book saying that they're not just my experiences, they're just things that I've seen, read about, everything.
Yeah.
They'll be on that like white on rice. You have to be really, really careful what you write
Yeah.
or not even just what you write. If you look at how
How you
particularly
say it.
nurses,
Yeah.
yeah, what they say, because there's not protections the same way. They're very,
Mhm.
very scared to say
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
about what's going on. And then everybody is sort of like, well, how could, healthcare be in the state that it's in? Well, behind the scene, like healthcare workers, not just nurses, but they've been speaking out about this. They've been screaming on the inside for so long,
Yeah.
particularly with workloads and how this is, it's simply impossible. They're doing the impossible. And,
Mm-hmm.
but it all gets kind of squashed inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes out differently on the news.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the biggest issue also is there's always a balance, like with teaching. We always have a balance that there is the persona that the public sees,
Yeah.
but then there's what's behind the scenes that we have to make sure that sometimes you can't let it be known. There's things that you have to keep confidential. There are things that you won't, sometimes no one ever knows. Like, I still remember sometimes and sometimes the administration, like way back in the beginning when I started, when we would have kids bring weapons to school, they would never tell us, and it would be like we would find out after the fact.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, okay. But at the same time, you had to understand where it was coming from, that they had to try to control the situation so it didn't escalate out of control and become a panic.
Yeah.
Kind of like with the healthcare system and everything else. You have to balance what you have to deal with behind the scenes and what you have to deal with publicly. And it can be frightening sometimes because you guys are dealing with things that, are killers at a massive amount
Mm-hmm.
that can happen. And just
Mhm.
diseases, and most of the people, this is what most people think, that like smallpox was eradicated. Yes, but there are still places in the world that there is smallpox.
Yeah.
And the bubonic plague, at
Mhm.
least 5 or 6 cases in the United States of the bubonic plague happens every year. But these are things that you don't want out because you don't want to cause a state of panic,
Yeah.
Or even, what killed a lot of the women in Poe's life, tuberculosis. But we have
Yes.
tuberculosis. I've dealt with tuberculosis a few times.
Oh yeah.
Not
Oh yeah.
personally as a nurse.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's hard to fathom thinking that still exists sometimes.
Yeah. And Renee, did you have to actually take tuberculosis tests as a nurse? Because did you guys have to do the testing on some of the more random diseases before you, like, on a basis, like every 6 months or a year or something? Is there anything you had to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
My cousin, who also is a nurse, he's an RN. He has to take tuberculosis tests and a lot of the other things in order to do his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be up to date just because you're exposed to everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah, you're
so,
gonna check.
yeah.
And
So, yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was saying
No, I thought you were going to say something else because you said and I was like,
oh, I
okay.
possibly did.
That's all right.
There's a good chance I did.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But so it's going to be fantastic when you can get it completed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest battle is just the therapy that you're going to have to go through when you're writing it.
Yeah.
Just to make it work.
Yeah, you know what? It is just like when I write the darker themes of anything,
Mhm.
but maybe just because I have far more experience doing that, it's just easier because that's what I always wrote about, even as a kid. So as a teenager, I was turning out like a poem a day. And it was just easy.
Amazing.
I was just, it is. I don't know how I did it. I certainly could never do that now. But, I had a lot going on.
Yes.
as a teenager. Also, I had time and no responsibilities. I wasn't a mom. There was other things.
Life was
so
different.
I could
Yes.
Absolutely. So it was different. And I can I was able to explore a lot about myself and, about
Mhm.
my past, how that ties into the present and then possibly the future. Like I was able to sort of, think like that all around, as in terms of just um, survival. Although I guess at the time that would have been survival mode as well.
Yeah.
But this is a very, and so I was very acquainted with doing it. And this is something, when you're in, I don't think it's just healthcare, but anything like that, you learn an entirely new language.
Yeah.
Medicine is an entirely new language.
Mhm.
And then way of doing things. And I don't know if I have completely processed all of it. I think when it gets to something pretty deep or even just sort of frustrating, I kind of gotta, step away from it. And
Mhm.
then problem is I might get hooked on another call, like something else that I'm, what I call my something shiny,
Yeah.
like the
Mm-hmm.
fun, spooky tale that I just want to sort of relax into, and sort of feels good. And then I got to go back and I'm like, okay, you can get through this. Although it has gotten significantly better. It's not as bad as before. I'm able to dig a lot deeper now. Before, it was sounding like, well, frankly, like I was charting. It was
Yeah.
Mhm.
plastic and awful. I'm like, okay, it didn't sound very good. It just sounded so plastic, so medical jargon. And
Yeah.
I still struggle with that. It's very hard to get out of that. And even when I do that, I'll play, how you do in any type of ghost story when you know certain terminology associated with it. Well, a lot of other people know that terminology too, so they can
Right.
pull from those metaphors and
Mhm.
then see what you're building with it. I worry sometimes because I'll take something darker, maybe within that sort of medical terminology, but where I'm going with it, I don't know if anybody is exactly going to know what I'm talking about. Like if I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about something like something about to turn necrotic, yeah, we know that's death, but are we going to know about a granulation phase, about all these types of things with, and I'm
Right.
just like, well, I'm going to lose people here. Like, so I'll stop and I'm like, okay, what are you trying to say? I'm finding that I'm going to have, like, I'm getting better at it, but it's hard because you
I,
start to channel that terminology.
yeah. Well, and have you thought about having like a glossary of terms? Like to
I,
like if you don't if there's something that you're very passionate about what you wrote, and if you change the actual medical terms, it would really lose the meaning of it from your perspective. If you had a glossary of terms where the layperson could read that and make that connection and understand it better.
yes, I didn't before,
Hmm.
but I've come to terms with the fact that that's going to have to be part of it, like a
Okay.
footnote underneath,
Yeah.
just because I actually do have a publisher for it already
Oh,
who's
yay. That's
read a
great.
bunch of my stuff, and it's off topic publishing. So I've published with them before, just smaller pieces,
Hmm.
but that's been something, you know, kind of talked about. It just,
Yeah.
Well, I was
but yeah,
just thinking
footnotes.
as you were talking that there would be a cool part that you could put in there, a poem called The Medical Rap, and it would be all of these words that you could put it together, like the necrosis, necrotizing uh
Fasciitis.
fasciitis. Thank you. I was like, I know the word is like
Right,
necrotizing
yeah.
fasciitis, kind of, bringing the bone out, and just
Right.
kind of make it and kind of put that
Right.
in there as just just kind of maybe a place where you could play with
Hmm.
that verbiage and use it as an outlet for some of
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So that would be
Um,
kind of fun because I was just thinking of that necrotizing mass fasciitis. You
Hmm.
know,
yeah, yeah. Actually, I had we get like writers in residence, in Manitoba, just out of our major city in Winnipeg, our capital, Manitoba, and it's free to send work to them, and they can kind of have a look at it. So
Okay.
I had sent one poem in, and a couple of them noticed. So at the same time, remember I was telling you about the love letters to Poe, the third one, Tales
Yeah.
from the Heart. So I was still very much in that mind frame, and in one of the poems that I wrote about the healthcare system and how I kind of went into a stethoscope, but like an internal stethoscope, and how I could hear it in well, it ended up being beneath the floorboards, and,
Right.
and on a heart, right, in a natural rhythm, that only I could hear, or other healthcare workers could hear, but nobody else can hear, chaotically beating beneath the floorboards, basically kind of channeling how it's starting to drive you mad, and just sort of throw off the stethoscope. That way you can just ignore it and basically not pretend that it's not happening. But I think it ended like, I don't something about worrying if the heart stops, and I don't want to hear when it does. So, but they had said that writers and residents are just like, sounds a little familiar, like I'm sure you're telling them. I'm like, yeah, that would be that would be the telltale heart there. I can hear,
Yeah, you could probably guess who the influence was for that.
Yes.
It's like,
right.
that guy called Edgar Allan Poe, the main man.
Exactly. Oh.
And well, one of the things is that Renee, you won, was it second place last year in our Poe poetry?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like, that was now I can't remember if I know what it was based off of, my inspiration for it. I don't remember if it's based off of Poe's poem The Lake.
Yes, that's
a great
it.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm trying to remember if I called it, I don't know what I called my poem. I don't know if I called it The Lake Revisited or something like that. I'm not sure, but I just remember it.
Jeanie, do you remember? I don't, off the top of my head, I'm not remembering.
I remember you had the lake in there, but hold on, I'll give me a sec.
Real quick.
I will hunt it
Well,
down.
and while Jeanie is looking that up, so Renee, so you said you've been writing, since you were a child, and just what was there something that sparked you to say, you know what, I want to start writing, or you just did it? Like, was there any kind of thing like that that prompted you to do it?
No, I don't think so. My mom always read. And so I was sort of surrounded by books all the time. Books was just sort of around me. And even when I couldn't read, my mom would say, I used to sleep with my books. Even if it wasn't even if it wasn't not a children's book, even if it was an adult book, I was drawn to pictures. And the second I started to be able to write, I guess I could. I do, but
that's that is amazing. That's awesome.
I don't think, even when I was still creating stories as if I was writing them when I was playing with my Barbie dolls.
Okay.
I just awesome. Remember, that, and even just playing dress up and doing things like that. It was like I was sort of narrating these stories. So it was when I was able to get them down. When you're young, you don't necessarily have the language, but you got the thoughts and these ideas.
And the imagination, definitely.
And I was very much into movies and and things like that. So I was just sort of naturally always creating, but I was very much always in love with books, even when I couldn't read them. And my mom had these books that I just loved, and again, mostly pictures at the time, but they were called Mysterious Unknown. They were a series.
Okay.
And they're black, and they have these pictures of this, the light catches it a certain way. It's this sort of tint shininess of, there'll be ghosts, there'll be strange legends, there'll be, cryptids.
I think I actually have those books.
You might. Lots of people.
Cool, Jeanie. Did.
Because you were describing them, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I think I actually have a couple of those books.
Okay.
Well,
that are on my bookcase right now. Okay.
Neat.
right.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved them. I thought they were so cool. And of course they were scary, and
Yeah, they
Yes.
sound really good.
that's what I liked. They're all just
Hmm.
different legends and different ghost stories and
Hmm.
all things like that. And that sort of tied into, of course, me listening to Unsolved Mysteries and
Yep.
listening to that. Ironically, that poem that I got second place with, that was based off of Poe's Lake, wasn't just that. It was actually the imagery for it was based off of an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, one of the ghost series.
Oh, very
Yeah,
neat.
It
that's what I
Okay.
kind of thought when I was reading it. It
Yeah.
was titled "The Lake Remembers."
Yeah.
the lake remembers. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So there is, what was it? I just remember being so fascinated with it as a kid. Um, it was apparently there was an Elizabeth Taylor movie made with it, and it was based off of the story of Grace Brown, who was the woman who was drowned in this lake outside of New York at Cobewood Lodge,
Hmm.
Moose Lake, I
Hmm.
think it was. And in the Unsolved Mysteries movie, or sorry, show,
Hmm.
these two women were just going out. They were sitting on the lake and listening to the loons, and all of a sudden they see this mist come together, and it forms this woman sort of in a white dress.
Oh,
And that was something, an image that stayed with me since I was a kid, and I kind of channeled that into Poe's The Lake, and that was sort of the inspiration for that poem.
and that's so
Yeah.
fitting to tie into that poem because that poem
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was reading it, and you just now when you were describing it, not only with the unsolved mystery episode, but the the Lady of the Lake, the actual painting that
Hmm.
was done by, oh, which one? Who did it? Who did it?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know what you're talking about.
God blast it. But anyway, it's one of the most famous ones it's like a knight series, a medieval series, The
Yeah.
Lady
Yeah.
of the Lake.
Hmm.
Yes.
Well, it ties with
And
King Arthur too.
Yes.
yes, he's got King Arthur and all those others. And as I was reading it, that was what popped into my head, was seeing that her laid out in this boat floating down this lake, and then her apparition just
Oh,
rising,
Yeah.
you know, in the story. And I was like, man, that's just powerful.
like the Lady of
Because
Shalott, I think.
yeah, because you were
Shalott.
bringing uh that image to me, not only from Poe's The Lake, but from Unsolved Mysteries and
Mhm.
other, and art. So
Yeah.
that that was very cool. I loved it with the apparition and the fog, how appearing with the
Yeah.
fog. Yes.
Mhm.
It always had this sort of, I don't know, this beautiful sort of, well, even referring to that episode, but like a beautiful sad. That's how I would describe Poe's
Yes.
works anyways, beautiful sad, which
Yes.
is even what I tend to write anyway. But then, and this mixed with this chilling feeling. And even
Hmm.
as a kid, it was just like this, a way to experience fear, or just that sort of an adrenaline rush from the
Hmm.
safety of your couch.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yes. And that's a lot about uh our childhoods, things that attach to us in that feeling is powerful, things like that. I think
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons, like you're talking about with Unsolved Mysteries, that was always one of the things that just got me the most, is not only his voice, because, his voice was awesome,
Hmm.
um,
Oh, yeah.
but just the stories and knowing that this has happened to real people, that they were real stories.
Hmm.
And that's like with Poe, with his writing, I always get that you can put somebody real to it,
Hmm.
Yeah.
it was
Yes.
so yeah, it was
I find that
Go ahead.
with him too, when you're reading any of his stuff, even though, something might sort of go off the deep end with some of the supernatural elements, it's channeled from a place that still feels very real, where you experience it as something very real and chilling. When I think
Yes.
about the first story, the one that I had wrote in that semi-delirious state,
Mhm.
was a little bit kind of reflected in the Mask of the Red Death, which is another one I really, really like.
Yeah.
But we don't really have a disease or a plague where we actually bleed from our pores. But you think about it when about a little bit about Poe's history, about him, that loss of losing the loved ones, the women who like his wife and mom, and
Yes.
his adopted mom to tuberculosis, and that just even the thought about shutting yourself away
Yeah.
from death to try to protect yourself. Like there are so many different metaphors within what he wrote, but you can almost see where he's coming from. So with the creepiness of it, there's this sense, there's this sadness under it that you're drawn to. This you desire to understand where he might actually be coming from.
Yeah, and like you said, it is the perfect, beautiful sadness because you can not only feel the tragedy of what he's lost, but you feel the beauty in what he had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the Waterhouse painting, The Lady of the Lake.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
John
I
William Waterhouse.
Well, I
Yeah, I
found
love.
another
Okay.
one, Jeannie, that I thought maybe was, and found a very interesting article tied to Byron and Poe.
Yes.
It's Paul Delaroche's The Young Martyr from 1853. And what I
Hmm.
love about this is that they quote, "The death of a beautiful woman is unquestionably the most poetical topic in the world. And equally is it beyond doubt that the lips best suited for such a topic are those of a bereaved lover," by Poe.
Hmm.
And so
Right.
I thought that was really kind of cool finding that, but it was not the same poem you were, or the same portrait you were thinking
No,
of.
no.
No.
The Waterhouse one that I was thinking of is she's
Yeah.
sitting in the boat and floating down the
Yes.
river, and you
Right.
just look like she's got this ethereal part to where she's
Mhm.
either going off to her death
Yeah.
or she's experienced the tragedy or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but there were so many during that time that
Yes, they
were
were.
so, entranced because like you said, the death or the beauty, death and the beauty of a woman is paramount to many people's inspirations,
Mhm.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah.
so,
Absolutely. And
but yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, and speaking of like inspiration, so Renee, when did Poe come into your life? We always like to ask this of everybody we talk to.
I think I, I think it was in a book. Again, I couldn't read at the time, but it would have had the format, like a nice, lovely script
Uh-huh.
writing, and then the format of the poem, like the structure, but automatically the Raven, that image, that picture was there, and I would have just liked the picture and the look of the writing,
Yeah.
and there would have been Anne seated on, a chair, um, and that would have been it, but then after that, I actually think it might have been The Simpsons.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Like
That's, and
I,
a lot of people have that connection. They really do.
just because of how old I would have been at the time. I was just kind of
Yeah.
thinking, like at the time, I think that's how I would have remembered some of it, like just
Mhm.
when I'm thinking back from my youth. But yeah, that initially would have been that, and then I would have went back to um, the Raven would have been the one that I ultimately went back to. But I
Yeah.
think I still a dream within a dream, but I always settled on Annabelle Lee. There was always something about Annabelle Lee, and it, I think just because I sort of also grew up on fairy tales and things like that, there
Yeah.
was there was a beautiful sadness about that woman. Somebody who, a man who, we could say almost like a prince, who just loved her so much that, he mourned her, loved her with a love that was more than love. It was, there was just something that was very beautiful about it. And I could always just sort of picture it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's that, and that's one of my favorites. It's in my top 10, and if I had to write down my top 10, I would be struggling.
Yeah.
It's probably, Annabelle is probably in my top 5, actually. I know.
I do quite like.
Do what now?
Oh, sorry, I do quite like the Mask of the Red Death, though. There is
yeah.
a lot I really like about the Mask of the Red Death.
Yeah,
it was
a really good one.
Yeah, that would be that story and poem, probably those two side by side.
Okay, all right. I know Jeanie is a huge fan of Annabelle Lee too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was the first poem I ever had to memorize and recite in class in 6th grade. So it was my first introduction to Poe. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. They got you to do that one.
And it was like, okay.
Oh yeah. There's so many good ones from Poe. It's just so hard to narrow down your favorites. It really is.
Yeah. Well, El Dorado is my second. So
yeah.
Right.
Well,
although I do love The Raven. Like I really do love The Raven.
I do too.
Oh, yeah, I love my. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I love corvids in general, like the crows, raven. We're big birders out here too. So, just seeing ravens and crows, and there's so much, just the imagery and symbology associated with that, even within death themes that, I saw just in pictures and picture books. So I think maybe it would have stemmed from a little bit of that, but I've always loved that. And then of course that refrain of nevermore is always so catchy, right?
Absolutely.
There was sorry.
No, I said it just fit, forevermore is nevermore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We so I have this book and it's called Edgar Allan Poe for Young People. And I think it was last year I read it to my kids. And I was rereading The Raven to them. And it was just something that was happening all throughout the house. The kids were just going, nevermore.
Oh, I love it.
I just read yeah, it was pretty cute. Yeah, so nevermore was said quite a lot.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Please.
Well, if there's something you want them to remember and repeat, that would be it. Nevermore. Nevermore.
I was gonna say, it's
nevermore.
I'm not a fan of peas, and so it's kind of like, I wish to have peas, nevermore.
Right.
I can hear kids saying stuff like that.
Vegetables, nevermore, nevermore.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Renee, what else do you have coming up for your writing?
Oh, there is 2 stories that I'm working on, actually, if I can, get them done. One of them is I just saw a call out with Flame Tree Press for vampires. Of course, I like
fun.
vampire stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then if I can, there's that call, which is very, very unlikely, but it's for, what's his name? Jamie Flanagan has it out. It's Mike Flanagan's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for The Shining. That it's going to be based on Shining, but that window's only going to be open for like 24 hours, and I think it's March 1st. Yeah, and everybody is sort of invited, and except for they have 1 space, so it's odds of actually getting in are very, very low. But I figured, we'll try. Right?
Oh, you should absolutely
give it a shot. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
The worst that can happen is they say no, and the best is they say yes.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, and then obviously still plugging away at at the burnout book. The burnout book, it's not going to be called nursing burnout. That's just my working title. I'm not
Right.
sure what it's going to turn to.
Yeah.
But I just call that my working title, just
Yeah.
because that's the theme.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the title will come to you when it's supposed to. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
it hasn't developed yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's time, it'll come around
Right.
and it'll change 500 times.
I think so.
It just goes round and around. It's like, okay, fine, pick one. Okay.
Right. Right. Have either of you guys been on ghost hunts before?
Well, I've done some ghost tours. The one that would probably be the closest to being like on a ghost hunt was at a lighthouse in Pensacola. Yeah, it was in Pensacola. And at going through the tour, like they gave us the little devices to see if we could pick up any of the entities and stuff like that. Mine never did. A few people's, like, it did kind of light up and stuff, and it was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
like to go on them for atmosphere.
Mhm.
Helps
Oh,
put you in that state of
absolutely.
mind. Like it's
Yeah.
more of an atmosphere. And it's a way to get into museums after dark.
Oh, that's true.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I've never officially been on a ghost hunt. I've been on so many ghost tours everywhere I go. I always
Yeah.
find one. But I've had plenty of ghost encounters.
Really?
Yes.
Can you talk about one of them?
Sure. Well, Carmen's heard a little bit about this one. When I was 18, well, no, I was 17. I hadn't turned 18 yet. I
Okay.
was 17 and it was Halloween. And two of my friends and I decided to grab pizza, grab some witchcraft shows, movies. This is back when they still had VCRs. Okay, so I'm old. Anyway, so
I had them too, so it's okay.
yeah. So we were going to actually go by Walmart and buy the Ouija board, because back then they would sell them as a game. And we were just going to go to my house and we were going to eat pizza, watch movies, and play on the Ouija board. Well, all the Ouija boards had been sold out. And to make a long story short, my bright idea was that I would make one. And I made a Ouija board and I found a piece of crystal that had been broken that went with my dad's watch face. And so we used that as the guiding, I guess, word, letter, whatever you want to call it.
Like the
Mhm.
planchette.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And think of the word. Thank you.
Which is
So,
amazing since I can't even remember the name of my own poem. I just
hey, that happens to me. I can remember some of the weirdest things, and then
Oh,
just normal stuff. It's like whatever.
yeah.
So
Me too.
anyway, one of my friends, she refused. She didn't want to have anything to do with it, so she pretty much stayed away. But my other friend and I, we were going to do it, and I'm a spiritual person. I believe they're like, Shakespeare.
right.
Is it Horatio or Mercutio? He says it too. Horatio, isn't it?
I think it's Horatio. Yeah.
Yeah. There are more things between heaven and earth. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That's right.
so we were doing it, and you always ask the pertinent question, is anyone out there? Yes. How old are you? I always like to start with how old. I don't know why. Uh, and the thing said 3. And I thought that it was my friend just playing joke or whatever. And then we asked, well, what's your name? Well, it started spelling out David. And I'm thinking, a 3-year-old usually wouldn't know how to spell their name.
Right.
So, my other friend, she started freaking out. And the one that didn't want to have anything to do with it, she was just getting farther and farther away. And then, of course, my friend started accusing me of moving everything. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. So she got up and went off. And I'm sitting there going, it's just a game. Well, it was at that point that it started moving on its own. And it
Wow.
started,
That's
and
creepy.
it was a little creepy. And now years later, I figured out we opened the door, but we never shut the door because we were afraid. I was afraid. So I threw the crystal over somewhere and I took the board that I had created and I tried to rip it up. It wouldn't rip. I mean, no matter what we did, we could not tear it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is just cardboard. What the problem here?
Mm-hmm.
So I took it outside and tried to light it with a lighter and set it on fire. It wouldn't burn.
Whoa.
So I was like really starting to freak out at this point. So I actually went around to the back of the house and got a can that my dad used to fill the lawnmower that he had gasoline in.
Mm-hmm.
And I doused that board with gasoline. And I let it soak in for like a couple minutes. Then I lit a towel, a rag or something, I think it was. I lit it and I threw it on top of that board. The rag went out. It didn't burn. It just burned out. And I was so freaked out and I tried to go in the house. And then this is how wonderful my other 17-year-old friends were. They had locked the door and locked me out of the house.
Oh gosh.
So here I am outside with the demon Ouija board. And so I immediately pick it up. I go around the back of the house. I grab a shovel. I go as far back on the property as I can and still be able to see because there's no lights. I live out in the mountains, you know. So I dig a hole and about 3 feet deep and I bury that thing in the ground, cover it up. And till this day, there has nothing grown in that spot where I've got it buried. No grass, nothing. So, yeah.
Do you still live around there? Like,
it was my homestead, and so it's still in my family because it was an inherited piece of land from my grandfather.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did
so
you ever tell your parents?
No.
No, right. No.
No.
Definitely.
Never once told my parents that anything like that happened. Because my mom would have believed me, my dad probably not.
Right.
But
at dinner.
I had
Oh, by the
other
way,
things through the years, but that's been the creepiest. So
that's really creepy. I can just see you like, at dinner, oh, by the way, I summoned a demon, so look out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Or
I
go.
might have a demon following me, so you never know. But yeah, I've seen shadows. Yeah, I've seen shadow of ghosts. I've had instances where that can't be explained away with science and stuff. So there's been a lot, but that one's the one that stuck with me the longest.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
It was yeah, from then on I made sure that if I did anything with any kind of the occult, I made sure I knew what the crap I was doing before I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Have you ever written about it?
I told the story because I'm a professional storyteller. I did storytelling years ago. So I used to tell that story or a variation of it over the years. Because there's a whole lot more that goes with it, but I just wanted to condense it down. But yeah, I haven't written it. It is on one of my things that I've journaled about it, but I haven't actually put it in writing.
Right.
You should. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
You told that story to me before. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, like Renee, it's on one of those things on my list that I'm working on.
Isn't that
it's on the list. So
there is what's it called? It's with Hirath Publishing, Parabnormal Magazine, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
They'll ask for stories and poems and nonfiction once. I was thinking, I'm like, oh, you said that. I'm like, oh, that would fit in there. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
That would fit, and that's creepy. But yeah, you should. That really fits in that magazine, like for a
Oh.
nonfiction
Yeah, it definitely
article.
would.
And
Yeah.
what's it called here?
It's called Pair Abnormal Magazine. You probably could just Google it, Pair Abnormal Magazine, but it's
Okay.
with Hirath Publishing. Hirath Publishing does more than just that magazine. They
Oh, cool.
have a few other ones. I've been in it a couple of times, the Pair Abnormal, for obvious reasons. Just
Yeah.
for, for some poetry, some story, and then one nonfiction article. I did
very
one.
cool. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I think I've actually heard of it. I don't think I've ever read it or looked at it, but I have heard of it or seen it on some things when I'm, doing research on the web for
Mhm.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely have to look that up. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's one of those things that to be done.
Yeah. The never ending list.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say I've got a never-ending list of things to write to, and whenever I get a little thought in my head for a story or poem, anything, I have a keep on my phone and I jot the little note down, and I'll go back to them. I've used some of them, and some of them have been on there for several years. I'm like, they'll eventually get there.
Yes. Yes. That's something, I was glad to hear. That's one thing about connecting with other writers. When I was,
Mhm.
delving back into publishing, deciding that, I was going to explore that more. It's sort of very isolating when you're writing and you don't really know too many other writers, because you don't realize, you kind of feel like your process is abnormal, and then you realize that it's totally normal. This is how
Yeah.
writers are. There's a list like that, and that's just part of exploring, the creative mind, where it's just
Yeah.
like, oh goodness,
Yeah.
definitely connect with other writers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because and Renee, I was saying Jeanie too. It's like when you do get an idea, if it's something you're working on right then, or if it's something that you can use in the future, it's like if you don't write it down, it's gone forever. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll go out my brain, and I'm like, what was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got several stray pieces of paper with just random
Yeah.
things written on it that I can't part with yet, but it's just this big never-ending pile of, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and I have one for like ghost stuff, one for fantasy stuff, and then of course so many for the burnout one. And it's just
Mhm.
like, well, a couple of times, I know with the burnout one though, I've had to, right now I'm at a point where I'm putting all those papers aside, because I'm finding that I'm getting too caught up in reading all of them. So I'm just like, okay, I kind of started doing something I call like a writer sprint. I was just like, for 30 minutes, I'm just gonna or write whatever comes to mind now, and not
Yeah.
just fixate on what I have written before, because it's not coming together yet. And the spare time that I am using it to reread, and I'm not getting too much out of it. So I'm just,
Yeah.
playing with the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you have to actually train yourself to do that, or you get out of the habit. And then when you do get the
Mhm.
urge to do writing, I found for me, I fall in this crater.
Oh,
It's like
oh,
because I haven't done it for so long that I get so lost and I'm doing so much. It's like hours later, I'll like come out of this zone and go, what in the world? You know?
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, then all of a sudden, I'm so drained that I won't even think about wanting to put anything on paper for the longest time.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Right.
and that's bad,
But yeah.
Yeah.
you got to train yourself in order, instead of trying to get it all out at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you got to do what works for you as an individual. I mean, I love hearing about everybody's processes, because I think we can learn from each other, but
Yeah.
take it and make it your own, because if you try to mimic somebody else's style, if you're not that person, you're going to defeat yourself. And then
Right.
to me, you're going to feel less productive. I'm trying to think of the best word.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
start.
and it's less you. It's less
Yeah.
you in the process, and that
Yeah.
makes it harder, I've found,
Yeah.
in order for me to complete something when I'm not fully involved.
Yeah. And true to yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And your muse.
Yes.
And that muse, that fickle bitch that she is, you know.
Right? Isn't she? She's awful.
Yes.
I can't.
It's
Oh
like,
my goodness.
it's like, get
Right.
over yourself and just do what you're supposed to. Don't give me grief.
Oh,
I
But
think that's something else that I'm struggling with. Even though, see, poetry, when I started writing again, and sending out my work, and then getting acceptances, it was sort of addicting, and it felt good, and it felt
Mhm.
like I was producing something, and I was getting recognition for it, and it was good. It pushed me forward, and then I can work on the next thing. But those are what I always call like one-offs. And then I
Yeah.
moved to another genre or whatever else I'm feeling at the moment. Even though this isn't like a chapter book, this is a longer piece. This is still the flow of a book that
Yeah.
still all relates to each other and has to have that sort of symmetry. And I think that's something, like, I don't really know how well that writer's sprint thing is working out for me. I am still discovering what the process is for me of writing something longer like this.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure what my process is, because I'm trying what I was doing with my quote unquote one-offs, but it's taken an eternity.
Yeah.
I mean, it might still be my process, and just sucks to be me, but it's something I'm still working on, exactly what that process is.
Yeah.
For me writing a longer piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to gather it together. Like you said, you have to make it fit, make it puzzle. It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Mhm.
You have to make sure that all the pieces are in the right spot. And that takes it even longer, because that's one of the things I'm struggling with my own poetry book that I'm working on, because it deals with my grief process that I've been going through for years. And it's just, okay, you gotta go with the ups, the downs, all that kind of stuff. And like with the burnout for teachers and nurses,
Yeah.
you just have to make it fit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but Renee, all I got to say is I'm so glad that you entered our contest, and I'm so glad that you've become part of our community,
Mhm.
or us being in your community, whichever one works. Because I think we just gravitated in the same community and just kind of met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Which is
and I
always
definitely,
nice.
yeah, and I look
Yeah, it's
forward to
awesome.
everything that you've got,
Mm.
coming
Me
out
too.
with in the future. And
Mhm.
and if you, poetry, short story, whatever, I just want to see it, want to hear it. So bring it on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. No, I was really excited that you guys invited me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Glad to
Yeah.
have you.
Yes, it's been amazing. And I know that unfortunately our discussion has to come to an end,
Yes.
even though we could probably talk for many, many times. And we
Yes.
can always have you back at a later date,
Oh,
especially when you publish
absolutely.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Publish
Or,
something else.
yeah.
Ghost stories, all the rest of them. Yeah. So much fun.
Exactly.
I love telling ghost stories.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Renee, please tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you. We also have our newsletter that we sent out with that information, but just in case somebody's not on the newsletter.
Yeah, no problem. It's www.reneecronley.com. And then on Instagram, I think it's just at Renee Cronley. I'm pretty basic. Just
Yeah.
everything's just Renee Cronley. Yeah.
It's easy to remember that way.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's easier to remember. Yeah. And if you're even forgetting your own poem that placed in a contest, it's just keep it to your name. It's easier to remember.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah. Don't get too fancy.
No, no, nobody needs fancy.
No.
All right. Well, in that case, I think, Carmen, we are
Are.
Poe out.
Oh, out.